Well, that's it. There is a new leader of the SNP. Humza Yousaf has won the poll with nearly 53% of the vote against 47% to Kate Forbes. Very interesting result, actually. I mean, Kate Forbes, who's come out as this very, very strong, free Christian, been absolutely slammed by almost the entirety of Scottish media, facing resignations, demands for her to withdraw from the race. And do you know what Kate Forbes did? She stuck to her guns, she stuck to her principles, she showed, in my opinion, considerable moral courage and did far better than anybody expected. So the favourite has won, and what do we know about him? Well, what we know is that as Transport Minister, he was stopped and fined for driving without insurance. We know that along with Nicola Sturgeon, he backed a new ferry project to the islands, which still hasn't been completed, at massive and possibly, some are suggesting even fraudulent, not on behalf of the ministers, but the company's cost to the Scottish taxpayer. We know that running health, that waiting lists went up. And finally, he says that he's for gay marriage. He says that he's for the Sturgeon gender identity legislation, which ultimately brought her down. And yet, when there are big votes in Parliament on these issues, he appears conveniently not to being there, which is leading some to say or question whether he comes under pressure from his own religious community. But there you have it. Humza Yousaf is the leader of the SNP. Does that mean he will automatically tomorrow become the First Minister of Scotland? Well, joining me is Tony Maguire, GBNews Scotland reporter outside Holyrood. So, Tony, as I understand it, this SNP election has to go for a vote in the Scottish Parliament tomorrow, but the SNP don't have 50% of the members. Is there a danger that Mr. Yousaf doesn't get approved?
Even if, Nigel, I would say that given the winner is Humza Yousaf, that seems a lot less likely. Certainly there was a lot of talk about whether the SNP and the Greens would continue their power sharing agreement, the Butte House agreement, if it was Kate Forbes' name who was called out tonight, if it was her that was giving the victory speech. That hasn't come to pass though, and certainly the continuity candidate seems to be in the frame for continuous government with the Greens by his side until the end of this term. If you look actually a little bit through history, last time round in 2021, Nicola Sturgeon got 64 nominations. Douglas Ross, leader of the Scottish Conservative and Unionist Party, he had 31. And if you go back a little bit further, in 2007, Alex Salmond had just won the Scottish election for the SNP for the first time, and outgoing First Minister Jack McConnell, he came painfully close. Alex Salmond had 49 nominations and Jack McConnell had 46. Now the rules of the game are that whoever has the most votes will get the honour of being First Minister for the continuation of this parliamentary term. Okay. We have seen other candidates from other parties put their names forward, but that's how it works tomorrow.
OK, so he doesn't need an absolute majority, he just needs the most votes of those that want to run for First Minister. That makes things very, very clear. Another thought, Tony, if I can, is that Kate Forbes expressed opinions that by modern day standards would be considered to be very small c conservative, that her views on family, gay marriage, etc., the trans issue, etc. Doesn't the fact she got 47% of the vote once second preferences were added in show us that actually the SNP are not all these mad progressives that we thought they were under Nicola Sturgeon, and that actually on these social issues the party is very, very split?
Yes, certainly. I mean, we keep hearing that phrase, the SNP is a broad church of ideas and ideals. And certainly within 24 hours, Kate Forbes had almost tanked her campaign because of the outpour of reaction. But she pulled herself up and she came back. And actually, in the last dying days of the campaign, you know, I believe that there was a bit of a scramble in the Yousaf camp because they thought that Kate Forbes would have won this on the second preference votes. Now, I think that what this campaign, the 5 weeks, 5 long weeks, has shown us is that actually the progressive part of that, progressive was one thing under Nicola Sturgeon, but I actually think that now people are waking up to the idea that progressive can be more, you know, it can be more diverse than that. Progressive is whatever takes us forward into the future and takes us in a new direction, really.
Yeah, look, I think it's really interesting. I'm sure you're right, but tomorrow will be a formality. But just in case, do stand by, because we may need you back. Chris Maguire, thank you.